Are we live? Let's find out live right here on the live show. It's live. Oh my god, amazing. It works. It's currently streaming from my phone hotspot.
Because the hotel internet is garbaggio.
Very bad. And I gotta hurry up and make a tweet about this. I would do my usual spiel about how VOD viewers is probably an edited version that you could watch, but I haven't even gotten to editing the last episode yet. We'll talk about it.
Don't worry, I have Dr. Pay, so don't. She is facing consequences.
All right, let me go ahead and tweet. We're live now to talk about the current anime. Wow, wowie zowie, it's happening, everybody.
I guess I should make sure I can hear us.
Yeah, go for it.
Nope, it's Natasha, an underworld doctor. I really hope that lady dies.
Oh, is this an ad?
It's a Honkai Star Rail ad and never, ever, ever, ever ends.
I don't know what that game is.
I think it's like Genshin. I have no idea.
I thought it was like a game, not like a weird.
Well, Genshin's a game.
Is it?
Yeah, we watched Kale play it.
Yeah, but it's like an endless game, like it never ends type of a thing.
Okay, cool. We sound good. Hey, shout out to that new audio interface.
All right, let's go ahead and just start the fucking show right off. We watch anime.
They watch anime.
They watch anime. Them watches that. Their anime. They them do that. Hey,
It watches anime?
it's the most trans anime podcast in existence.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Probably.
Oh, hang on. Let me make it even more trans. There we go.
Put on a trans bracelet. Good job. We're here. We're queer. Get used to it.
Happy Pride.
This is our great filtration episode. This is what I'm going for. All right.
This is the Brita filter of We Watch Anime.
This is the Brita filter if we watch anime. Look, you gave me a speech earlier today where you said, "Look,
Was
if
that
they're
this
not,
morning?
if they're, I don't know, it was either this
think
morning
it
or
was
last
last
night.
night.
You were like, if they're not gonna pay me, I don't have time to do this fucking shit. So basically, we have to ensure that if you're not really serious about being a fan of this show, so much so that you pay us, even when we fuck up."
And we have fucked up.
We fucked up badly because I haven't gotten the last episode edited. It's been a while since there's been any shorts. I mean, I did that for one episode, really. Like, let's be real. The last time we were back at the ASE Presents studio, our friend Riley's house, he said, "You should make shorts out of these episodes." And I was like, that's a great idea. And then I made a bunch of shorts that week, and then I haven't had time to do it once since. Haven't made an advertisement for our first bonus episode on Bochi the Rock, which you can watch right now if you become a $5 patron.
We haven't recorded our second bonus episode on Cyberpunk Edge
No,
Runners.
that was supposed to happen last night. Instead, maybe it'll happen tomorrow night. Look, I'm not even going to make any fucking promises, all right? Because, frankly,
You're really good at breaking them.
I'm very, very good at breaking promises, and especially to people who pay me. And so if you are...
But so what we're trying to say is pay us more, and then we won't have to have a real job to sustain our income.
That's what we were saying?
That was the point I was making.
Yeah, no, that's what we're getting towards. We worked our asses off this week. We fucking busted our asses on everything other than this.
It is not
damn
often
show.
my boss texts me, "Wow, good job," after I tell him how much work we did in a week. He says good job. He's just never said
time.
wow.
Look, you guys might remember that last weekend we had a special guest on the show because we had driven to her house because we had been suddenly summoned across the state of Missouri on a Friday.
You know, it's
morning.
really fun. It was
They just
great
were
time.
like, "Hey, something fucked up. Might be your fault. Drive 4 hours, figure it out. The problem solved in 10 minutes, flat."
I mean, it wasn't even really a problem. I don't even think it took 10 minutes because it was just.
We showed up and it was no big deal. So we hung out with Quinn for the weekend, drove our way back to St. Louis, went to Pride.
That was fun.
And Bird realized
I wore a dress and it was very, very fun.
Some things about themselves.
What things did I realize?
There's a whole flock of birds.
A flock of seagulls.
A flock of seagulls. Of all different vibrant genders, of different denominations. Bird had like a big coming out as a
yeah. If you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook,
fluid.
you probably saw it. But the long and short of it is, I identify as gender fluid. You do not have to call me anything different than you already have. I'm just gonna be dressing way better most of the time.
You are fucking adorable.
Thank you. You are too.
And actually, in this, I'm wearing your new sweater thing, which is
honestly kind of upset about it because it like unraveled a little bit. The day I got it, it was on clearance at Earthbound, so whatever. It was only like $10. That place is cool though. Earthbound Trading Company.
The single most androgynous person I've ever seen in my life is the one who, as we walked through the front door of the store, did like a little victory dance. Yeah.
And then as we left, we were like, "Oh, have a great day," and they had said something to the effect of like, "Oh, we're so happy to have you here." I was like, "Okay."
They were playing Pride music the entire time. It was cute.
Oh, I also
mall, actually near
was a cool mall
here, I think, right?
Yeah, let's not talk about that, though.
Yeah.
At Earthbound,
somewhere around St. Louis.
Yeah, we're actually living in the arch right now. That's why the Wi-Fi is so bad. I also bought an amethyst necklace thinking it was my birthstone. It is not my birthstone. June is pearl, actually, not amethyst. Shout out to Victor for helping us figure that one out.
Yeah, just because I remembered, like, I'm pretty sure Victor's birthstone is amethyst, and he's February. Yeah, so we had a great time. We had a great weekend, and then we had to go right back to work, and it was kind of like we really probably worked. I mean, I know I worked the hardest I've ever worked this week. And
I mean, it was really hot. We did a lot more than we usually do. I mean, actually, we did more work in one aspect than we usually do, on top of doing like two other things we weren't expecting to do that would have taken away from us finishing the other thing. I'm being very vague.
None of that
purpose.
Makes any fucking sense when you are that vague. But the point being, we worked really hard in the hot sun every day outside in Missouri.
We were breaking rocks.
June. Breaking rocks in the hot sun. I fought my shoulders and they died. I don't know. It was fucking a lot. I mean, and I don't dislike the job. We get paid a lot for what we do, but it's not something that's very easy to like shake off and then go do another
anything
fucking
else.
Thing. Yeah. So I spent most of this week like we would finish work, we'd get some food, and then I would go into like a food coma and just basically die.
Yeah, and, we went to a Mexican restaurant that had a whole page of its menu devoted to birria.
Oh, that's very special. The birria revolution's here, everybody.
I'm so happy.
Birria is the best.
Anyway, anime. Where are we starting?
Oh man. Well, yeah. Well, you know, point being, we work really hard. We don't have time to do this until it makes enough money that we didn't have to work that hard at doing other things.
And we do want to do this more than the regular job.
This is a paradox that almost every artist faces, I think, and it's why like I'm always afraid to like say like, hey, we need to make enough money to do this, because I always feel like well, when I started my career, I had a day job. I was working at Target. I ran into the same problems of eventually struggling to keep up with my upload schedule as a brony YouTuber while doing the Target job. And
being a brony YouTuber is very demanding work.
It can be. And I mean, the amount I was making then off of ad revenue before I had a Patreon when I quit my job at Target was pretty much what we're making right now. But I also lived in my parents' house, and they weren't planning to kick me out or anything, and like
times have changed.
It was very easy for me to take the risk of like leave my day job and throw it all into YouTube and do it until it works. And there's a part of me that looks at it now and is like, oh, I wish I could do that, but we can't. We need an amount of money to buy a fucking house.
Yeah.
And like,
and pay for the car and adult things.
Pay
#adulting.
for having an actual life, which I did not have when I was 23. 22 when I started the YouTube channel. So, I followed my dream, I lived my dream, and then my dream wasn't that interesting, and now I have like this thing, while it seems similar from the outside, I think is actually very different. The approach of We Watch Anime is a totally different type of show. It's very dedicated to the fans that watch it, but also I don't give a fuck about having fans who won't pay for the show. So that's why this is the filter.
It's about the fans
if
and the
you're
Skrilla.
not gonna pay for it, I won't take care of you. This is a reciprocative relationship, all right?
You
it's
scratch
not free.
my back, I'll scratch.
I know it seems free because you can watch it for free, but it's not free because we don't have the freedom to do it, and freedom costs $1.05. So give us $1.05 on Patreon, and everything will be fine.
Or maybe like more than that. That'd be all right too.
$5 for the bonus episode. Cyberpunk Edge Runners were on the previous poll. After that, we'll probably do Don't Mess with the Azoken because it tied anyways. And that'll be in a couple weeks after that. And let's shout out all the amazing people who have given us money. And we're going to skip everybody whose status says declined on this list. But
No, I didn't even notice that. That's really funny.
So you've got...
Cushiony Siren Son of a Sock. Goblin Cox. Which is pretty funny. I like that name quite a bit.
Like Goblin...
Goblin like Goblin Slayer.
And then Cox like Cox Cable.
I feel really disappointed in that person who declined. Cannot believe they claim to be a fan. Anyways, Giblish, Sinblio, Travis Mary,
or
Murray, Tyler Vaughn, Brutface, Cotton Candy Flame, Gamers Tavern. I feel like I've talked to them.
Gamers Tavern has been a guest on the Procrastinators podcast a bunch of times.
I see. Well, thank you.
Shout out.
Rest in peace. You won't
to
be
that
missed.
Podcast.
Yeah, the podcast. Alex D, Bocce, The Rock, Blizzanks, Brent. Still every episode of Dice Funk Goatly. That's an interesting name.
There's definitely names in here that weren't in here last time, right? Like
I think
that
so.
We read all these.
We were also really drunk.
Chris Hauser,
Diamond Servine,
Ava Matthews,
Extra Virgin Olive Oil or EVOO, Gast, Hades, Istref Veli, John Johnson, very good name, Marty Noob, Minnie Meissner.
We can't really have this many patrons, right? This must be like something's wrong here. You know what? I'm going to switch to the people who actually have signed up for the thank you because there were too many names in that list for the number of patrons that we currently have. So Anethmy Badescu, Hidden Music Island, Last Isis, M2, Susu2, and Zero Tsun Game, and True Fox 1. Everybody else whose name got shouted out, you're a mysterious anomaly in my Patreon's weird way of showing me how listings go. Get your shit straightened out. If you want the name shout out, sign up for correct your rewards. Look, you're paying enough money to have your name shouted out. Just switch it so that you have that as your reward.
Yeah.
If you're hearing
on
this.
top of, whatever money you're also paying us.
Because otherwise you're probably just not even listening to this show. You don't give a shit.
I am curious how many
name.
of your patrons are paying
know that
for
this show is happening at all. I don't know. It's a curiosity to me as well. Ellen Horizon says, yeah, I'm broke as it gets right now. Don't worry, Ellen. We respect you because you're always in the chat, being funny. And on the right side of history. Probably. Okay, let's talk about these fucking anime.
After the misfortune of these fucking anime.
Can't swear, this is public access. Alright. The Dangers in My Heart.
So last week we left off with Anna and Kiyotaro talking about how they're going to go to a shrine together, and Kiyotaro's like, but my family's going to be there, and Anna goes, cool, I'll get to meet them.
I'm officially 100% over this show.
Yeah, this wasn't a great episode. It was pretty cute, but most of the show has been pretty cute.
We've got some commenters who really love this show who will go on these long passages about it, and I really appreciate the passion. Shout out to you guys. If you want to know why people like this show, just go read the comments on these episodes. You'll find them.
Anyone who writes the same comments about Oshinoko, though, no respect whatsoever.
No, yeah, the Oshinoko comments are fucking stupid. You guys are wrong about the show because, and then just describes the show. Bad. No, we caught all that. We just think it sucks and is stupid. Anyway, this show. It just has no bite to it anymore. It's just about these two cute kids being in love, going through the motions of dating
in Japan
at a young age and being, I guess, too coy to fuck about it. But I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't care about these two characters that much. They're
I like
very
Anna 'cause she's
simple
tall.
kids. This scene is like basically they show up to the fair. He shows up with his family.
And
she meets his family.
He's kind of having the thought process of like, I sure do hope she's not there and I can just sneak away from my family after my family leaves. And then as he's saying this, was like, dude, you guys have only hung out once and you were both 2 hours early. There's no way she's not there.
Yeah, no, she's obviously gonna be early.
There's a lot of her talking with food in her mouth in this episode, which I did think was
It's just
cute.
repetitive. The show's just gotten to a point where, like, we've seen these jokes. We know she shows up early. We know she's a big eater. Like, now his sister's thrown into the situation. What reaction will she have? Extremely normal, reasonable ones that aren't dramatic or interesting. Nothing, like, is added to the plot by his sister meeting her. And it really just feels to me like a build-up to this. Because this moment right here... This is where we reach the bedrock of the like sexual intention of this show. Little guy, two big women on either side.
I'm a little guy.
You know, it's the sister who inspired the feelings in the first place, and the girl who he is now in love with because she's so much like his sister. He's sandwiched between them. They're both like goading him into doing something. It just
the sister's showing off like baby pictures and elementary school pictures and stuff. Just totally embarrassing.
We don't even have to call this a fetish necessarily. Obviously, there's like people are masturbating to it, but like it's
even Kiyotaro is.
It's more the idealism of the show, right? Like it's just wouldn't it be so nice if you found yourself in exactly this scenario? And my thought is. Sure.
I don't really want to fuck my sister.
Could go watch pornography if I really want to see two girls. I don't know. Yeah. So the main thrust of this scene is Anna goes to Kyotaro's house. She finds out all the little details about his life. Some of this builds on his character a little bit. I was saying before that I think Kyotaro is kind of. He's more of a person than we usually have in anime, and even after the rant I went on the last episode, somebody was complaining like, no, he's just a dumb little shit with nothing appealing about him, and I really don't think that's true. He has fashion sense, he has some level of intelligence, his room is full of trophies from what he considers his glory days of like winning science fairs and essay contests. It's like he's a somewhat creative, somewhat smart kid. You can see what the appeal is. Again though, it's not interesting. It's just very pedestrian and normal. It feels like this show is for, I don't know, people who feel like they've alienated themselves, but actually they're pretty much normal, and the show is like a rehabilitation to realizing you're pretty much normal.
I mean, this show, like Skip and Loafer, is pretty much just a slice of life to get Japanese teenagers to want to have sex again.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, and I don't think it works.
This
just drives them into the anime.
A great job.
They'll never meet a girl who's as hot as Anna in high school. It's just not going to happen. So this is just ruining their expectations of what a relationship is going to be because it's too clean. There's no drama. There's been 3 straight episodes of just cute dating at this point. I get it. It's wholesome, but it feels pathetic. Like if you need this, then come on. Get a fucking actual girlfriend.
Touch grass. YouTube is not. I hope we still sound good.
This is the moment where I just said, you know what? Dump her. Because she goes to she finds the murder books that he's always worried she's gonna see, and she's like, I know this stuff. It's like psychology, right? And I was like, just you can't talk to her about this shit. She doesn't know what the fuck this is.
I think it's a really funny reaction to seeing a book about murder.
So then they have this little
she almost discovers his porn, and so he kind of pins her down a little bit.
He's trying to like get to the porn before she picks it up, but of course it leads to like a lewd little moment. Whatever. This is my favorite detail, is that he's still having these like weird homoerotic visions of.
It's much more him now though, because it's not really a combination of the other person. But it's just taller him with abs, which is really fun.
I still think it's supposed to be the character from that manga. I just think that's who he wants to be. I wish we knew more about that manga. And, like, I don't know. Again, this was not an interesting episode. It ends with...
she psychs him out.
The ending of this pissed me off. Yeah. She, like, hands him an empty, like, chip bag, and then it's like...
It's a shrimp cracker bag. Thank you very much.
And then she's like, just kidding, and gives him a candy. And I'm like, so this is a reference to, in episode 1, she, like at the end of their meeting, she, like, gifted him her trash, basically punking him out. And she's referencing that again in this moment, and it's just taken as kind of sweet. And, like, given the way this character used to be, this should have sent him into at least a little bit of a neurotic frenzy of, like, wow, does she really like me, or is she still fucking with me, you know?
Well, but this whole episode is basically just his sister and Anna going, yeah, no, she's into you, idiot. Yeah, she's into you, idiot.
I guess he's just come to like the teasing, because, you know, he gets to be close to her. Whatever. This show is actually good.
I'm very happy the show continues to be good. We start learning some real stuff that's going on. This show being Hell's Paradise. We start with Bandit King Man. I forget his name, but he's pretty cool.
This dude rules. He's just...
He has, like, consumed some of the humans that are in that pit that have fused with the flowers that give everyone immortality. And so he's slowly gaining powers by... fighting this monster.
They've been introducing lots of, like, spirit-backed power stuff, so that there can be some power scaling in this show. Because so far it's just been like a bunch of badasses beating the shit out of each other. All of the main badasses we have left have lost fights to the immortal, gender fluid,
the Tensen,
constantly transitioning back and forth Tensen monsters. And, they all got their asses kicked, so how are any of them ever going to be able to beat them? Well, the answer is in this episode.
It's called Tao.
Yes, and as our heroes learn to master Tao in different ways, they are able to put up a fight. It's really funny and a little clumsy, a little goofy that there is basically this, like, race of, I guess, demigods that work underneath the Tensen.
Who are also learning Tao, or know Tao, and they kind of control the monsters on the island and all of that. The Doshin, I think?
The Doshin are the most convenient, like, the most writer's convenience characters imaginable.
You know, it is funny, because when the guy that Bandit King's beating up right now appeared, I was just kind of like, oh, cool. The writer is here to explain things to us. That's kind of strange. I've never seen that before.
All three of the Doshin we get introduced to just show up and start dispensing information. And then
they should not be dispensing.
No, stuff they shouldn't be telling. Well, and, like, they're all saying it with the caveat of, like, we're telling you this because we're about to kill you. And it's like, why? But it's always the information that they end up using to then defeat those guys, proving that they are now strong enough to at least beat people who are right below the Tensen, meaning they have a chance with the Tensen. It's all just purely for the convenience of setting us up for our rematches. But the characters are really fun to watch in their fights. This guy, his whole thing is just, you know, sheer determination and adaptation. And because he's always been adapting, he's now adapting to Tao, adapting to gaining immortality, and trying to hold on to some level of humanity, I guess, as...
I don't think he cares so much about that. It's also...
His brother cares more about that.
It's pretty clear that he is... I wouldn't say, like, being affected detrimentally by using these powers, but he's definitely being affected by them somehow. Mm-hmm. Like, he's getting weird purple tattoos all over him.
Yeah, the places where he's been, like, killed, like, there's these vine tattoos that have been, like, growing as he fights on, and his brother's really concerned about it. But yeah, there's a really cool moment where he just punches a fucking hole in the Doshin guy. Cool fight. And yeah, here's the brother says they look less like lacerations and more like vines, and it cuts, you know,
to May.
Yes, to the little girl who has her body grew in the last episode. She's like a 4-year-old who suddenly became like a 14-year-old, but she still has the mind of a child.
A lot of this episode, her dialogue is just like saying strong, strong, weak, strong, strong, weak,
yes,
strong, weak,
she's trying to communicate to Gabimaru and the tall swordsman guy that they can't master Tao because they're trying too hard, basically.
To be strong.
Yeah, they're always hitting with max force, and she's like, it's not really necessary, but she doesn't know how to communicate it because she can't use words that well. She still has the mind of a child, which is important to point out because some fucked up stuff is going to be suggested about this character, because these Doshin show up and they're like, hey,
we need you for training. Can you come back and be
you're
training?
Important. We need you to help.
And then they
with
explain
this stuff.
why she's needed for training.
What kind of training we're talking about. But before they explain that, it's important to note that Gabimaru just kind of is looking at the situation and seeing that she looks scared. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I really shouldn't involve myself. But she looks back with a scared look in her face, and he immediately jumps in must protect. Moe to Moe, must protect. And in particular, we'll get into this. So they start explaining how the magic works.
5 different levels of Tao. I don't remember what any of them are except for the last one, because it's the one that sticks with you. But basically, the highest level of Tao you can only achieve by having sex with a different Tao user who has yin or yang energy, whichever you don't have.
Yeah, so
this is a big yin-yang episode.
Yin is woman, yang is man, and so the yin and yang energies have to be combined through sex. But the Tensen have, I guess they've fucked so much that now they all have equal amounts of yin and yang energy, and they can freely change gender. I'm not sure if that's how that works.
The Tensen just necessarily have so much yin and yang energy. That's part of why Mei was shunned to be a sex slave or whatever.
Right.
Is because she does not have yang energy. She can't transform into a different gender.
She should be like the Tensen, but for whatever reason, she's only a woman and is therefore considered basically a failure. So in order for everybody to know that, they cut a huge fucking mark into her shoulder and decided, they told her, you can either run off and die like a dog, or be our training slave. In other words, just a literal sex slave.
Not great.
Yeah, no, not good options. And so Gabimaru is really upset with this in particular because his wife had a big cut across her face and was literally just given to him as a wife because, like, her dad was the village chief and he just wanted to deal with her, get rid of her, throw her off onto this guy. But, like, he sees it as this is objectification,
which we are very against here at the We Watch.
We're gonna this show. I could do a lengthy feminist critique on this show. It has a lot to say about gender relationships, and especially about the way women were sort of treated and objectified, particularly in this period of Japanese history where, like, they're just kind of seen as literal objects that could be traded or, used for whatever purpose. And Gabimaru is really not okay with that. So he launches into battle. He starts learning about Tao and shit. Oh, I guess that's all the screen caps I took.
So they launch into battle, and the Doshin basically use these 2 Doshin that they're fighting control the centipedes that eat dead bodies and the butterflies that turn people into flowers. So they, like, Gundam them. Is that the power Mechazord? That's what I'm thinking. They Mechazord them, and they basically do Voltron. They do an imitation of I fucking forget the Tensen in the last episode's, like, big flower form thing, and then they just kind of start kicking ass for a bit, and then
a lot of good fighting.
Yeah, this was a pretty good episode for fighting. Mei basically, or not Mei, the weird little scalpel man. Weird little dissection boy.
Oh, yeah. Dissection guy is just dissecting monsters and studying them.
Well, no. During this fight specifically, he's standing back with Mei, and he goes, oh, I get it, and then explains how Tao works. And then after he does that, Gabimaru is like, yep, that makes perfect sense. I completely understand it. I'm really good at it.
And then he just starts doing it.
And he just starts kicking ass, and it's the Doshin are like, wow, he's on the same level as the Tensen.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
This fight is specifically to, like, just let us know, hey, Gabimaru can fight those guys now. Everybody thinks so. Everybody thinks so, guys.
I mean, I he had fought them to some success.
I'm excited to see how Big Sword Man might have to learn about Tao or the little Islander girl.
Oh yeah, I wish we saw her in this episode. The blind guy too.
They do show her for 1 second, and
but it's only just... in like the gray face guys. Like, oh, we were warned that these people are worse.
I think what they were trying to communicate, because there's one shot where it shows her, and there's sort of an after image of the guy who died, like doing the same pose, like as if to suggest that she's as good as he is now, as like the pupil. Like,
I see.
Silver hair man. I think that's what they were going for. But yeah, this show is the perfect example of why like good writing isn't always necessary. Like if you have really cool ideas and fights.
I will also say this show is at least part of spawning all of the gender fluidity questions in my head. Just the whole Tensen thing, and especially now as we've gotten further into it.
The Tensen are Bird's Ranma. Having never seen Ranma would have, Bird had the Tensen. We have a super chat from Hidden Music Island for €5. Says, glad I woke up early today. Hell yeah. Hidden Music Island, I don't know what country you're from, but he usually misses the live streams because of being in, I assume, Europe, because it seems like you're 5 hours or so ahead of us. Anyway, next up is Mashal.
So, if you don't remember, last episode, Mash won against Vector Girl, and fucking that other blue-haired guy whose name I can never... Lance? Is his name Lance? What's his name?
Man, this episode, like most episodes of Mashal recently, is like little sparkles
his name is Lance.
Of absolutely awesome, and then stuff where you're kind of waiting around to care.
So basically, Lance and Mash won last episode. Now we have to see Dot and fucking whatever Mash's roommate's name is fight Milo Genius and Love Pink or whatever.
Yeah, Love.
Milo Genius basically fucks off immediately. Is like, yeah, I don't need to do this. You good luck, Love. And Love is fucking insane. It's not really clear.
Love immediately starts asking Dot, "Hey, do you like me? Do you think I'm cute?" And he's like, wow, she's super manipulative and obnoxious. Most people would hate her, but I love crazy bitches, so she's all for me. But
I'm a psychosexual.
Yeah. But apparently Dot has, in his mind, dedicated himself to Lemon-chan already.
Which is so strange, because Dot is very aware that Lemon is only interested in Mash. Mm-hmm. He goes as much to say he hates Mash because of it. But I guess he's confident, believes in himself or something.
Who knows?
So this episode, a huge problem I had with it is when Dot first got introduced, someone in the chat had said something like, "Yeah, the creator of Mashal wanted this guy to be the main character, but instead that no one likes him. He's not entertaining. He's not fun." And so we learn a lot about this character this episode where it's like, man, I loved when Mash was the main character of this show. I would really like to go back to that. I don't really care about Dot. I would have rejected a show with Dot as the main character. I think it's funny that they've snuck him in, but...
I'll mention about this fight, there's one detail that intrigued me, because this show has been pretty heavy on, like, your parents are the problem. Like, every character is, like, somehow fucked up by their parents' expectations. No, because Mash's
dad is okay. I mean,
he's the main character. He's the good guy. Everyone else's parents is fucked up.
I think,
especially the bad guys. Like,
sure. I don't think it's... Lance's parents aren't fucked up.
He's a good guy.
Sure. So the bad guy's parents are all fucked up.
Okay. My point is that it's about how you face your parents and like what the effect they had on you. And like this character, Love, she says, "Daddy said I can kill any guy who doesn't cherish me." What the fuck does that mean? So what this... yeah, like basically, is her dad saying everyone needs to be in love with her? I don't. So yeah, the fact that Dot doesn't cherish her means that she is going to murder him.
She has like some kind of wind magic or something. It's like Tornagus or something. It's a pretty underwhelming fight.
The magic fights suck.
We get a flashback to Dot being bullied and his sister, who looks very trans masculine, saving him. which is funny because it's like, oh, that's why he likes women so much. Cool.
I want to meet his sister. She seems cool.
But anyway, then he gets pushed past his breaking point. This is what I was waiting for. This is the part that made me really upset. Because you were like, when's he going to level up or something?
And then it happened right after I said that. Just Dot, well, because in previous fights, he's been shown to be so much weaker than our main characters that it was like, well, how are we ever going to give a fuck about his battles unless he has some kind of huge upgrade? And it turns out that apparently he's born with some kind of thing where if he...
A warding cross.
A warding cross. He's one of the Era crews, and when he gets too emotional, he just suddenly gets a big power boost. And I was like, okay, well, yeah. Like, obviously something like this had to happen for this guy to be viable at all. But this whole fight was just kind of boring. Bunch of ass pulls. It wraps up, and then it's time to fight the green-haired... What the fuck is this idiot's name?
Milo Genius.
Milo Genius.
Or something like that. He's got rock magic, and it does not matter at all.
No. I truncated this pretty hard, because basically he shows up, he's threatening for like a second, and then... do you know what yellow strip of hair boy?
No, I don't remember. His last name is Ames. Finn. His name's Finn.
Loud ass fucking. Finn, his big brother shows up, and it turns out that Finn's big brother is
a divine visionary. He's a badass. He's really cool.
He is exactly what MASH is trying to be.
His brother's introduction to the show is literally just a massive fucking sword comes flying out of nowhere and impales Milo Genius.
Yeah. And then he unlimited blade works on him and just like throws hundreds of swords at him. And this kid's just like, how can this be a student? Like, how can this guy be, somebody even comparable to us? And then we see how he's also a fucking hard ass, because he says it's best to teach your type through pain, and just starts stomping this motherfucker's guts
over and over and over again.
So many good doms in this show. Like, they really give the gift.
The spider. The spider's one of my favorite characters.
So
this is a spider who can tell people's magical ability, and aside from that, it just like wanders around making spider puns constantly.
It's always talking in spider pun until it's so shocked by MASH's lack of power that it loses its, as he notes, it lost its identity and stopped using the puns because it was so confused.
It was so confused. It was like, I must have miscalculated, and older Ames just keeps like throwing more and more swords at him, and MASH MASH builds a chair out of them. He starts bunting them. It's really funny.
Yeah, here's him just bunting all of the swords out of the air. It's a fun sequence. Any sequence with MASH is always good. But yeah, that was pretty much it. The fight between Dot was not that cool. When the brother showed up and unlimited blade works on Genius, that was fun because, the show has the hottest shonen characters. And then MASH ended it.
No, before the end, he also he gets to the room with the doll guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he breaks the door down, and the doll guy goes, "Can't you ever just open a door normally?" And MASH goes, "I tried knocking. This is what happened."
It's because the older brother had basically told MASH, hey, look,
it's really obvious you're not using magic.
Yeah, I can tell you're not using magic, but you know what? I like your style. I see you're trying to become divine visionary, and you pretty much need to not give up unless it kills you.
Yeah, and then he informs him, hey, kill doll guy. He's got all the coins.
MASH concludes that guy seemed like a good guy.
Well, actually, he didn't really like him. Older Ames gives MASH a handkerchief that heals wounds or something, and MASH just looks at it and it's covered in bunnies, and MASH looks back and goes, "So you like bunnies, huh?" Which I thought that was funny. I do not. Oh, okay. This is Heavenly Delusion.
Drink.
I guess.
We're gonna talk about the saddest, most fucked up stuff? Beer. This latest Heavenly Delusion was messed up.
Yeah, always hard.
This is where shit really hits the fan.
Trigger warning: sexual assault.
Yeah, no. This is the filter episode.
Yeah, I know.
So the whole plot the B plot of this show, that is the kids in the place. the old woman at the end of the last episode gave like this big megalomaniacal rant about how she's going to start transferring her brain, and we were kind of figuring this is a powder keg ready to pop. What we didn't expect is, for reasons not explicitly explained, I don't think, there's just like a massive system failure, and the whole place just kind of fucking falls apart. Old bitch gets crushed under rubble. Like,
or does she?
Tons of people
hang on, right before she dies, she gets out of her wheelchair and starts running, and someone goes, "You can run?"
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
The doctor gets the twins confused and is like, "Oh crap, I don't know which one is which."
Yeah, I chose this shot because this show does a great job of, like, even in these high tension stress situations, having just like fun ways of presenting stuff that keeps the edge a little bit off. So it doesn't feel like too fucking harsh and brooding. Like, whereas Made in Abyss really chose cutesiness, this show chooses like the lightest tinge of comedy right before it just fucking drills in with like the hardcore shit.
Yeah, this was a pretty rough episode, but basically they come across a town, and
Kiruko and Maru.
Yeah, Hiruko and Maru. Kiruko. Hiruko are the monsters.
Yeah.
So they come across a town, they try to pay for something with real money, and the guy tells them, that's illegal. You got to go talk to the reconstruction people or whatever.
Yeah. So the main thrust of the first half of this is sort of that they found like one of the biggest and most successful like groups of people running a town, and Kiruko's really inspired and impressed with it. But more importantly, they know who fucking Robin is. The guy who she's been carrying around the photo, asking people, have you seen this man? They're like, yes, we've seen this man. In fact, we can call him up and get you an appointment with them. And they do. And he tells them to tell her to meet him at the large filtration plant. Now, as soon as I heard this, I was like, this sounds dangerous. We don't know who this guy is necessarily. We don't know who he's become. He was always kind of a weird, seedy guy.
I'm still not sure why she's looking for him. Is it her, like... Just she calls him family at one point.
Well, because if you remember when they were growing up, he was like protected the little boy that is inside Kiruko's brain.
Okay, he was the
guy who like beat the shit out of people.
He was the brother and sister's like father figure.
Sort of. I think he probably was the sister's. I don't know if boyfriend's the right word, but I think he was fucking the sister, and I don't think the brother was aware of it at all. He just looked up to this guy, not realizing that he was abusing his sister. And the reason I think that specifically is this is the face that he makes when he sees her for the first time, which is the shock and terror of seeing someone who should want to kill you. Because he doesn't know that it's the brother's brain inside. And so she comes up all excited, but he's just like, what the fuck? But quickly finds out what's really going on, and we cut back to the kids. Apparently like a significant amount of them are missing or dead, but here's some of our survivors, survivors in air quotes. We've seen some of these characters die.
So two of the characters we've seen in previous episodes are Mimihime, or Ears Girl, and Bowl Cut with gray hair, who is I think a fucking Usan. No, I don't remember. He was the doctor, and so they're both dead now.
Oh, so he's the doctor who was taking care of Mimihime.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize he was also from the facility.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it looks like the same guy.
That makes sense.
But yeah, Mimihime was the girl who had all of her body taken away from her, basically.
The tragic death in episode 8,
which sucks because she's so cool. Yeah. She's a really fun character.
Yeah.
What did you tell me Mimihime meant? Ear princess?
Ear princess, yeah.
That's cute. I like that.
So yeah, she meets up with Robin. He takes her to the facility, gets her into the bath. I was starting to really raise eyebrows when he's like secluding her, getting her naked and unguarded and comfortable. And I was like, this is not a good setup for this show.
No, I knew this was coming. I didn't think it would happen in like so soon.
We cut back to, so basically Kiruko left Maru behind to go meet up with Robin, which was stupid. And Maru's just kind of moping around about it. He finds Kiruko's gun. He's like, are you sure you're going to be all right without this? But he doesn't, he goes down to get some food. Some prostitutes try to pick him up, and he's like, I'm fine.
He even goes like, I can't eat all of my food by myself. Where's my friend?
Yeah, he's just sad that she's not around, and he should be because she's in the middle of a big Ipar.
A what?
That's rape backwards. There's an Earl Sweatshirt song called that. Anyway,
okay. So Robin has handcuffed Kiriko to the bed and is basically like, he has figured out what's going on. I think he does know that the brain is not.
Yeah, no, she told him like, I am the brother, and he's like, no, you're not. So this scene is fucked up. He handcuffs Kiriko. And is forcing her to look in the mirror.
And asking who you see.
Yeah, like, who do you see? You don't see, like, you see the woman, right? You see your sister, right? So who are you really? And basically, it's like he's trying to convince the little brother to be the sister so that he can fuck the sister. It's a warped. It's very strange. It's a very warped sequence. I don't know how.
I just kind of wish they had explained a little more about what was going on.
How much can you really get into the head of somebody like this?
Well, what the fuck is Robin doing? Who is he? He's just kind of like around.
This shot is really...
Yeah, this is a terrible scene. I really didn't like... I mean, it's great.
I like this specific shot. It was because it's like... Kiriko looks in the mirror and at first sees the boy face, but then like he like rubs his hand down the side of her face and it transforms into the sister. It's some fucking trippy shit, man. Trans rights, I guess. Here's Pokemon. Let's mind bleach all that shit out of our minds with some cute little animals.
A cute Pokemon. So this is a very good episode because Nioha multiple times says Nioha.
This is actually the best episode of Pokemon so far.
I know, it's like actually a Pokemon episode instead of 10 episodes of hey, here are our characters and why you should care about them. So there is this whole screen cap is fucking what's her name? Liko at Dot's door going, oh my god, I have something to ask you. Dots. Oh, you're right. I hadn't thought about that. Liko goes, hey, I have to tell you something, Dot. And Dot goes, hey, I have to tell you something, Liko. Mm-hmm. And they kind of say it at the same time. But Liko says, you're a huge Gorman.
Because I like Quaxley's expression where he's like, huh, like I'd never even thought about that you would come to that conclusion. But that's funny. That's what I read out of this little adorable Quaxley expression.
His name is Kuasu.
This episode, I'm going to assume that some much more intelligent Pokemon fans than myself already figured out the secret we're going to learn about this.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious.
Pink-haired girl. It's obvious in retrospect, but
because she walks around with a Chansey and everything,
and has pink hair like the.
So Nurse Joys have like red hair, don't they?
It's pretty much pink, but fuchsia, I guess. Throughout all of Pokemon history, there has been a running gag that Nurse Joy, because every time you go to a Pokemon Center, Nurse Joy is there. She always looks exactly the same. And in the show, Ash, when he arrives, always goes, what the hell, haven't I met you before? And, oh, that's my cousin, the other Joy. And so there's like one episode where they show a family photo and it's just like 50 of the exact same woman.
That pulled up. They do have like different hair styles.
That's because of the changes in seasons. They've like updated her design over the years, but like generally Nurse Joy always looks the same.
And same with Officer Jenny.
Yeah. I think in one of them it's like sisters and the others are cousins or something. They're slightly different familial relations, but like so. It turns out that this woman, I can't remember her name, but she is...
Me neither. I don't actually know.
She's a Nurse Joy who she actually had the job. She was doing it for a while, and then she quit. And she's running away from family expectations. Her mom's like upset with her for reasons that she just considers silly. And she has a nice little heart-to-heart with Liko about how she's just impressed that Liko's like even considering things like, what am I doing with my life? Where she's like, you know, I was just being a kid when I was your age.
This is funny because as soon as this came on screen, both of us were like, well, that's a Pokemon, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be a Pokemon.
Big, weird, crazy tree. What the fuck is this thing? What's going on here? And then look at the little
Baby Wooper, Baby Wooper. Oh, my God. I'm so happy that we got Paldean Wooper.
Wooper.
Yeah, that's Wooper.
Why did I almost say Mudkip?
Because they're Pokemon.
Very similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, this little dried up special Wooper,
He doesn't have any water, so he's dying.
What's cuter than a dying man? So Liko, this scene proves that Liko's a fucking moron.
She opens her Pokédex, scans Whooper. It says, "Hey, this thing is covered in a poisonous film," and then she touches it multiple times.
Yeah, like immediately. And then she looks at her hand. Oh right, the poisonous film I just heard about. Fucking moron. So we learn the motivations of this Joy, which I think this is a brilliant.
It's really weird that this has never been brought up in Pokemon before.
It kind of has, but never as like a Nurse Joy herself being like, "Hey, look, I realize that Pokemon are not always getting brought to the hospital.
They're not always coming to the Pokemon Center.
Them.
What about wild Pokemon who need help?"
So that's why she became a road doctor. I like it. I like her character. It's a good setup. Also,
this giant Pokemon, I think it's Olivo, is what it's called.
It's not usually this big, I don't think.
No, I don't. They don't really explain it either. Why it is this big?
I guess it just is big ass fucking Pokemon.
Because Dynamaxing's not Paldea.
See, this is what I like about this episode, and why I said this is like the most Pokemon it has felt in a while. They didn't have to fucking explain it. I don't care what. I don't give a shit what video game logic powers. I don't want fucking Dr. Mario to come out and say, "Hey, here's what's going on." Fucking, I want.
You just made me snort long drink.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's painful. Fuck.
Fucking Robo Senku to explain to me why the fucking tree is big. It's a big Pokemon. It's cool. And look how fucking happy the Whooper is.
I'm so happy. And also, there's one point.
What's cuter than a fucking mortally wounded and bandaged up, happy looking Pokemon?
There's one point where the Olivo is going to attack Liko and Roy, but the Whooper just like stands in front of it and goes whoop-er, whoop-er, whoop. This is really cute. It was really, really cute. This is a great episode.
Best episode yet. All right, Dr. Stone. We usually save this for last, but since this is the filter episode, it's coming before Oshinoko. And this episode, this is unfortunate because this is the last episode of Dr. Stone this season. We have to wait till October till we get more.
Which is really, they should just have this show constantly airing. Just always coming out.
They'd have to make filler, I guess, or something. I don't know.
They do make filler.
I mean, the manga is like pretty fucking far along, I think. Yeah, we don't really come to any conclusions or any kind of closure. The main thing about this episode is Kohaku's really cute and best girl. I
mean, she learns how to make a bomb.
It was hard to be upset with, but yeah, the thrust of this episode is Kohaku shows up to a big fucking rock that's somewhere inside of it got the platinum they're looking for. So she has to figure out how to get into this rock without breaking it like haphazardly. She was sent. There's a bunch of science mumbo jumbo explaining this special acid bomb thing she uses. Whatever.
It's a silent bomb.
Yeah, it's a silent bomb.
Which basically is they drill some holes, they make plaster in the holes, and the plaster expands and breaks concrete.
I like this moment because after she does break it open, it's just like a pile of dust. And at first she's like, "Oh my god, it's just sand. What have I done? This is fucked." And then she's like, "Wait a minute. Senku's always just using like sand and shit.
Do shit. This
is probably exactly what he needs." So she wraps it up. She like forms a pouch out of her dress. I love this so much because
it's completely impractical.
Yeah, Kohaku doesn't give a fuck about well, she's trying to make something practical out of this stupid outfit. Like, she wouldn't normally dress like this. She would have something to carry stuff around it. But, you know, she's just like, whatever, I gotta make do. She's a perfect woman. Yeah, so most of the acquiring materials part of this episode is kind of boring. There's like a scene with Amaryllis and Ginkgo, but it's pretty much the exact same shit that was happening in the last episode. Finally, we get something at least a little bit emotional and interesting at the end of the episode because Senku's dad had spent like his entire life going out and gathering small bits of platinum from this fucking river.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I was just trying to see where Dr. Stone was right now. It's like 232 chapters in, and the first thing I see is just a big, like, full-page thing going, "We're making a time machine." I was like, "Oh, okay, so they've gone past regular science somehow."
Okay, yeah, amazing. But yeah, the dad had spent like most of his life gathering platinum, and then literally
dies in the water
in that fucking river that he was gathering platinum out of. And he's like, at least I fell forward
so I can see the stars
in the surface of the water. And he just dies
at space in the river. Also mentioned that this guy is not actually Senku's biological father.
What the fuck?
Which is strange because they have like the same weird hair thing going on.
Yeah, they both look like a broccoli.
They have the same eyes now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, they look very similar.
Immediately when this was revealed, you went, "Oh, so Senku's real dad is going to be a bad guy."
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck?
Which
like, they waited until this motherfucker was dead, and the second, until we learned how he died, I should say. The second we learned how he died, Senku's like, by the way, he told me he was just like, that I was just like his friend's kid. I never asked, didn't really care. I always thought he was my dad, but I still call him by first name, and I felt the need to tell you this.
Which is funny, because a couple earlier in the episode, I was like, why does he just refer to his dad by his first name?
Yeah, well, now we know. So, yeah, they really want to bring everybody back to life. We get this man service shot of, like, theoretically what will happen next season.
Oh my god, I just noticed Francois covered up.
Yeah, it's really cute. Like, they kept their modesty. Still, did Francois have any effect on your non-binary identity?
Not really. Because, again, I think Francois is just a woman. Ryusui just doesn't care.
Right. It seems likely. Alright, moving along. Oh, God. It's Oshinoko.
Oh, God. Okay, so this episode...
If you like this show,
you're wrong. Please stop watching our show.
Listening to our podcast and commenting on it. I don't care. I mean, you're allowed to listen to the podcast.
Especially if you give us money.
Please.
Actually,
Please
you can only make comments if you're giving us money.
Stop yourself and think about your life. Reconsider what you're doing.
So this episode actually started off a little okay. I was like, wow, this is kind of better than it has been lately.
Well, we've got Mem. She's a YouTuber, slightly bigger than my channel, which is a little embarrassing. But she's got twice the TikTok following, apparently.
First time I've heard TikTok mentioned in an anime, which was strange.
I'm surprised it took so long. But fucking whatever. She wants to be an idol. They let her join.
And
this was the only scene I cared about in this episode, where we really find out that she's actually 25.
26. Oh yeah, 25.
Yeah, she just turned 25 and she's pretending to be a high schooler. She just writes like high schooler and then parentheses LOL on all of her
and she was like, and people seem to really like that.
Yeah, that got her work. So, the main part of this episode is just Kana hating herself,
which is the main part of most of these episodes lately. Kana's really annoying.
She just sucks. Her personality is that she sucks. That's the character.
When it's funny too, because like they're in the idol group, they're about to have their first, or rather they're planning for their first show, and so they're trying to figure out who is the front person, who's actually going to be out there singing and dancing and all that, who's a good singer. And Kana goes, "I suck at singing. I couldn't do it."
Yeah.
And then by the end of the episode, we learn that she's actually had a very successful music career and is a really good singer. I don't think it was
successful. I just think she made a bunch of videos that never took off. She's never taken she's basically depressed because she's tried all kinds of shit her whole life and none of it's fucking worked. She's just never had a fan following, so she thinks that there's no chance for her. This scene is so annoying, man.
So this is strange. So this girl, who should be part of the idol group, honestly, she comes up and starts talking to two other girls who this show hasn't done anything with.
Well, it's the sister Ruby. It's Ruby is talking to the pink-haired girl who has been around since like episode 2, and I don't think has said one plot relevant thing in the show. They're having a nonsense conversation, and then this girl who, right before she showed up, I was like, and what the fuck happened to that? And then she comes on screen, and I'm like, oh, there she is.
She comes up and I guess tells a joke. I'm not clear what the joke is.
So she overhears that they're talking about the show that Aqua was on. And she's like, oh, I liked that show, it was full of pretty boys and girls. It was a real feast for the eyes.
She was like,
it was just a good time.
She said something like, I would have pinned Mem down in a heartbeat or something like that.
And, like, they're both just surprised that she's... Like, they don't say anything. She really just kind of diatribes at them. But, like, their take on what she's doing is, oh, she's actually funny. Of course, this wouldn't be revealed in her acting because funny girls always try to cover it up.
Because men will see them as a threat or whatever.
Yeah, and to just, like, go on this whole tangent about how she didn't tell a fucking joke. She's just having conversation, and they're not even responding to her. They're, like, talking to each other about her in front of her, about what she's like. It is so fucking weird. It has nothing to do with the episode. Nothing. This is just a total one-off scene establishing that this girl, who we know to be, like, one of the more famous and considered, like, I guess, skilled people in their class, also has a sense of humor, and by sense of humor we mean is a regular fucking person.
Yeah, that's not a joke. That's just not. The show is so bad. I can't even really be mad at it anymore because I know it's gonna be bad.
I feel like I dumped all my passion into the rant on the last episode, and, like, the fact that there was one comment where just somebody was like, well, you're wrong about it because like, literally a numbered list of things about the show that are just, like, they just described the show. They just described what's happening in the show, and I'm like, yeah, those are all the things we just said sucked. Like, those aren't defenses. We didn't misunderstand it. We understood it and hated it. You think that you couldn't understand it and dislike it somehow, like, as though the fact that you understand it is why you like it. You like it because you're stupid and you don't know things and you haven't experienced. You don't have life experiences. Like, I'm sorry.
You didn't even finish your long drink. This
is the filter episode. I'm not putting up with Oshinoko fans. Like, grow up. Have any experience. Watch Shiropako.
More like Oshino brain cells.
If you have to watch something about the industry, because people keep telling me, like, oh, but it's cool that it talks about the industry. Everything it says is shallow and stupid. There's tons of shows about the industry. The arts industry loves to talk about itself. You don't need this show in your life. Have more self-respect than to talk about the fact that you like Oshinoko to anybody.
Or anime, honestly. I mean, like, we get paid to do it, but...
If you're gonna say you like anime, you have to be sexy about it. You gotta be like, yeah, I like anime because I like to dress up in cool clothes and, like, scream out
Horizon said, imagine you say something funny and then people just start psychoanalyzing you out of nowhere.
Right? It was a really weird scene. Oh, man. All right. We learn... This really frustrates me.
Oh,
because...
right. We're finally getting the hot goss from the manager or whatever.
Do we? No. We don't get any goss. He just describes Ai. He's like, oh yeah, she was always, like, a little bit of a weirdo, you know? She always showed up wearing shitty clothes and didn't really talk to anybody. I'm like, I'm right here. Like, you didn't have to I didn't need to be called out.
They just heard that we were talking so much shit.
Yeah.
So.
But... No, he really just kind of describes Ai, and then we cut back to fucking Kana bullshit for the rest of the episode. And, like, yeah, she had a cute scene where she did a little song when she was a kid. Everybody remembers her for that and how bad she was at singing during that. So she's like, obviously she can't sing. And then she's like, no, I can't. I suck. I'm worthless. I'm the worst person in the world. And they're just kind of watching her destroy herself. And then these two
go to karaoke, and they're really bad.
Yeah, but they're both making excuses. Mem's like, yeah, I might be bad, but at least I'm individual.
And then Ruby goes like, well, I was hoping to give the fans an experience of, like, starting as a bad artist and then being a better artist. Good. And it's like, I know some people who feel this way about things, and it's really dumb.
Well, you won't be popular until you are good. Maybe people will look back on the stuff you did when you sucked and feel some sense of endearment for it, but, you know, you have to actually be good before anybody's going to care. But then we find out Kana can super sing, super good. Apparently, she's sitting there sipping her drink, looking like she hates herself.
Right before this, the two other girls discover that Kana had a music career, and they start listening to his song, and they play the whole fucking thing.
There's a full minute-long music video.
I skipped through it because it sucked.
She started singing, and I think there was about 7 or 8 notes before she hit one, and I hated her voice, and I was like, ugh. And as soon as I made the cringe noise, you just went pop 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 pop. That was me hitting the arrow key. Pop 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 pop.
Yeah, I mean, at least Kamikatsu, when they do the annoying theme song thing, there's usually footage over it as opposed to a music video.
A totally context-free, generic, shitty music video to sell the stupid insert song for the stupid show for stupid people. Stop it. Alright, that's enough Oshinoko for this week. Kamikatsu, as you mentioned. This is instantly funnier. Just look at this picture.
Al looks insane.
This shitty drawing has more integrity than that entire other good-looking show we just talked about.
So this is Al. I don't remember Al's sister's name. Atar, and I think Gaia is on the drums as an idol group, because we start this episode with them having thrown some kind of festival. Apparently the Emperor at one point banned music, which was... the Emperor didn't seem like a good guy.
Time for a very brief anime history lesson.
Uh-oh.
In 1982, there was a show called...
Oh, wait, hang on. In Oshinoko, real quick.
You're like, wait, don't do this.
I just saw it pop up, and I had to mention that in Oshinoko, there is a really cute scene of, Kana as a kid dancing and singing with some bell peppers.
Wait, you're pointing this out because you saw the screen cap that I showed on screen.
I didn't see it then.
In the live catch-up that's 10 minutes behind or whatever.
It helps me remember things.
It's really funny. How did you remember it when it was on the screen?
I don't remember seeing it.
I did kind of blow past that. Anyway, in 1982, there was an anime called Macross. It's like Gundam, except that there's an idol singer. And the bad guys, they have no culture. And so when they find out about singing, it stirs up emotions in them that they didn't know about and sends them into confusion. And it's singing wins the war. And Macross basically started a legacy through anime of using music to end... Yes, that's Minmay. And that's her singing, hologram projection in space, doing an idol performance that ends a war. So...
Well, good for her.
That became a trope in anime ever since, and the power of music is important to anime because they sell all of these insert songs as individual CDs that cost $15 fucking for 2 fucking songs. So all of the hardcore fans who you're relying on to be the ones who are going to make a profit off of this show, in addition to buying the Blu-rays and the figurines, will buy the singles and the fucking go to the live show where they play those singles. So you need to have all this shit. It's one of those things that it's easy to be cynical about this side of anime, but at the same time, if the music is good, then you eat good. It's why people love idol anime, if they like idol music. I fucking hate idol music. So it's very rare that anime insert songs are going to appeal to me. Once Upon a Time, Haruhi Suzumiya. We'll leave it at that.
Hey, what's that show about?
It's about a song called God Knows, where she plays guitar really fast and sings Kawaita kokoro ni kakeru. Bird's walking away, so I'm just going to keep singing Gomenne nani ga dekinakute.
Can't even get a drink anymore.
I can't remember the next lyric. Oh, now I've got a fucking K-On! Ending in my head. Anyways, point being, there's a lot of anime about music, using it to affect people, and in this show, they're using it to grow their religion. Hey, if we introduce Christian rock... Fucking here in St. Louis, I gotta say, this morning I went out to smoke in the car and I forgot to bring my phone, so I was listening to FM radio.
Oh, that's why that was there? Fuck.
I eventually found a cool college station and an oldie station, and I found a bunch of cool songs, but there's so many Christian fucking rock stations in this place. Or not even just rock. There's a Christian station for every genre of music here in St. Louis.
Christian rap?
There's a Christian, pop channel at the very least. So yeah, that's what's going on here. This episode is drawn like fucking dog shit. Dog shit. It looks terrible in the best way. Like they did a good job of making it. I won't say aesthetically pleasing. That's the wrong word. It's just funny. The drawings are bad in funny ways, or good in this moment in a funny way. Where Bertrand, the knight who was transed against their will, is not having a good
transition
time.
Did not save her.
No, transition went really poorly for her.
Granted, it was like she didn't want to transition.
She's basically just breaking down, crying in the middle of the day. I mean, honestly, estrogen does that to you, but you know. So he basically, our main character convinces Bertrand, hey, like, you're important, you're necessary, you belong, you're okay. You just need to do some spying for me.
It's not even. It's like you are needed, and at first she thinks he means by him, but what he means is by the religion for the religion's purposes. And at this point, like, is anyone surprised? The guy doesn't do anything except for the religion.
He is truly his father's son.
Yeah, I was gonna say really quickly, like, this is all a hallucination, right? This is just him, like, tripping his fucking balls off while he's in the barrel,
like he's
in the middle of the ocean. This can't be real.
This is definitely his, like, death coma. This is his deloused in the comatorium hallucination, or human equation, whatever coma-based prog rock album you want to use as an example. The main thrust of this episode is very weird. It was kind of hard to follow exactly what's going on. Because... But
basically, Gaia, the Archon who can control the strange beasts, just kind of like goes about her life, and we start to learn that she is collecting children.
I think this might be a metaphor for capitalism. Like, she like goes around kind of like just through being sort of sweet and in need, like, gathers children into her sweatshop. Like, she comes home and a bunch of kids are saying, like, Mom! And she's like, I'm back. And they're all, like, making things. And I'm like, okay, what is... like, it's just... It's a little confusing because in this show so far, the metaphors have been much more explicit. Like, the last arc was just a sex goddess. How do we control people through sex?
I'm also really confused as to why this Archon is pursuing children, because her power is to control terrifying monsters.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense.
They don't explain a lot. I assume we will get into the bones of all of this in future episodes. But it's a little bit of a weird place we found ourselves in this episode. This scene I absolutely loved. So Bertrand...
Oh, right. Bertrand is being manipulated by Dakini.
Yes, she's had her horny unlocked to the max. And even though Kyotaro, I think is his name, right? Just like the other kid?
Yukito.
Yukito. Even though Yukito... I don't know why I thought his fucking name was the other thing now. Even though Yukito is like, hey, Bertrand, like, you still consider yourself a man. Surely you don't want to fuck me right now. And Bertrand's like, actually, it's because I used to be a man that I know exactly how to pleasure you. And I was like, trans rights! Trans rights! No, yeah, I don't know why this is censored. She seems to be staring at his dick, and what could be happening with her mouth? Like, it must just be like a grotesque amount of salivation or something, such that it looks like she has just swallowed a cum shot. Because like you said, they've shown much worse without censorship. So, what could she be? I mean, they didn't censor his crotch. They didn't censor the dick bulge. What the fuck? Why does the mouth anyway? Dakini is really appreciative now because
music is great for fucking.
Exactly. He introduced everybody's favorite way to fuck to the world, so now she's like, you've done it. So she's teaming up, and she's going to try to help him ruin the other cult by, I guess, schmoozing up with all the kids and making them think that they're
Well, and so Yukito asks
in a
her
cult.
specifically to use her powers on them, but she's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to sexualize these fucking children, you freak.
Because that was something the Emperor made her do. Well, desexualize them, whatever. She's just not comfortable with it.
As well, she probably shouldn't be. So yeah, even though she is in a sexy bikini or whatever, she's just kind of hanging out with these kids and like, hey, let's have fun. And then
these other two kids somehow have Gaia's powers to control strange beasts, and they basically kind of go insane.
Well, they freak out because she's trying to tell them like, you're not really, because basically these kids think they're part of a family, and she's trying to say like, well, a family is supposed to be like a fun thing full of support, not something that like controls you and tells you what to do and all this. And the kid's like, fuck you, you don't know shit. And that's kind of where the episode ends. So yeah, we don't really know what the fuck's going on, but it seems mildly interesting. This show always has a lot of interesting like psychological, metaphorical shit going on underneath the hood of being just like the dumbest sex comedy possible. It's going to be hard to tread the line carefully when you've involved a bunch of children, but it doesn't seem like the show is trying to do anything heinous to these kids the way that some other shows this season are. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Oh, yeah, there's the kids who are bad guys, whatever. Skip and Loafer.
This show's really cute.
I love it. I love Skip and Loafer. I love all the characters. They're all good. There's a few really great scenes.
So this episode is the festival episode.
School festival's happening. Shima is in the play. He played the Nazi in The Sound of Music.
He played, well, there's a lot of Nazis in that movie, but he played the Nazi that is in love with the oldest sister of the Von Trapp family.
He puts on a great performance. Everybody loves it. He's kind of like, wow, you know, maybe this acting thing, not all shit all the time. And meanwhile, Skip meets up with, I can't remember her name, the beautiful tall girl.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either.
And it turns out she is a painter, and she has painted this brilliant painting of her dog. And, you know, Skip shows up, and she's like, what do you think of it? And she's like, oh, it's really cool. I like what you did with the colors. And she's like, oh my god, I'm so happy you're saying anything.
So many people, like, say they're interested in me, but they don't actually care what I do.
Yeah, and even the glasses girl had just said, it's a masterpiece. That's all she said. Which, this girl was not happy with that answer because she wanted more, but to me, it's just a great character moment that, like, because I can perfectly picture in my head glasses girl, like, looking at the painting, getting all flustered with the fact that it's as good as it is, and just being like, it's a masterpiece, you know, like, just fucking off, like, oh god, I can't handle it, like, it's adorable. They are totally in love. I ship them hard. This scene is so fucking cute. So, yeah, like, a guy comes up, tries to compliment the painting, and he's really just trying to get with her, and she's like, fuck off, and she's like all upset about how people are always doing that to her, like you mentioned. And then Glasses Girl shows up. She bought some food for everybody, and she's got a couple of her friends with her, some other geeky, nerdy girls who don't even want to look at popular girl, or, you know, beautiful girl, right? She's not even that she's popular, but
she is.
Can't even look her in the face, like, trying to talk to her. And at first, she's like, oh, man, you know, of course. And she's just, like, going to give up. But then Nerdy Girl remembers all the shit she had said before, you know, the way she tried to look out for her. And she's like, I got to figure out how to make this not awkward. So she just starts telling her friends, hey, you know, Yuzu, she reads the books I lend her, and she gives me her thoughts right away. I love that this is where she started with the compliments because, you know, this is how I would define my friends. People who listen to my recommendations and get back to me about them. 1,000 times more likely to have another conversation with somebody after they have actually listened to something that I showed them. So, yeah, this was a solid interaction. And then we've got...
Drama Man is like, hey, Shima, I know you're not ever going to work with me, but come see our play. I would really appreciate it.
And he does, and it's interesting because he can't quite like right after the play he wants to
talk to Shima, but either he gets interrupted or Shima gets interrupted or whisked away. Also, something that's going on in the background of all of this, or wait, no, that hasn't happened yet.
And the playwright, actor, he he wants to make it his livelihood to be like writing and acting in plays. Like this is his thing. He wants to be the writer man. And Shima is kind of just like blown away by the fact that this guy has like a goal in mind for being in the entertainment industry. But yeah, Shima's little brother shows up to the school because his mom's there. She loses track of the brother. The brother remembers mom's trying to get to class 5-3.
Shima's brother gets distracted watching girls dance, which is really funny.
But he's the cutest fucking kid. He's very like, he doesn't let any of it get to him. He doesn't act scared. He's just like very determined. He's like, I'm going to class 5-3. That's where mama said she's going to be. And then he gets there and everybody's like, oh my god, is this cute little kid? What the fuck are you?
He describes himself as Tree, which is very funny.
Skip recognizes that he's carrying the charm that Shima had bought for his little brother, and so she puts two and two together. Everybody goes running off to go find the mom or inform Shima of what's going on. So it's just super adorable. What a cute kid. All of this culminates in Shima's mom on her way back to the class where her son is.
And she sees red-haired bitch. Why is red-haired bitch here?
It's the cunt girl. Well, she's here because she talked to the other friend, Shima's chubby friend, who, like, basically she was like, hey, where is he? And he's like, oh, I think he's at the school. And she's like, I'm going there to fuck with him. But yeah, the fact that she runs into Shima's mom and Shima's mom has this facial expression.
Well, so
you have a feeling they're about to fucking throw down.
I know, you were like, they're about to get in a fight in a school. I think, so red-haired girl blames Shima. Shima's mom just must blame her. And honestly, I probably blame her too. Like, she's not a good person.
Yeah. We kind of zoomed through this episode, but it was just a bunch of cute niceness. Oh, there was also a subplot about the student council president guy who...
Oh, right.
He's kind of a douchebag, but he's also kind of nice to certain people. It kind of seems like just the way that he is towards the secretary is off-putting for her.
Yeah.
But she's kind of developing like a little bit of a begrudging respect because of the fact that Skip kind of respects him because of some of the things. Like, basically, he's good at being nice. He's just good at being nice in a way that makes people feel better. But he's kind of discreetly a dick bag, which you also like doing.
No, you're not wrong.
But yeah, I don't know. This is a cute episode. We've only got a couple more anime to talk about here. This will be our shortest episode because anime was mid, life was long, and I need to murder everybody who doesn't have a job that's watching my podcast. You shouldn't. If you can afford the podcast, you can't have time to listen to it, right? Like that must be the case.
All right, so Dead Mount Death Play. This was an okay episode. It still kind of sucks because that's how it works. Phantom Solitaire continues to be the best character. So basically, he sends a bunch of blimps around the Tokyo area with the fire-breathing bugs symbol on them, which last episode we learned Blonde Cop has some kind of weird association with, and the pen is the person who gave him that weird association. So they see the blimps going around. Some of the people that are part of the fire-breathing bugs try to assassinate him, and it doesn't work because it's a doll.
I'll explain. This screen cap's like 7 minutes into this episode because I was so annoyed with like most of the start of it. There's a long scene of Phantom Guy in the grocer talking. Grocer's basically telling him, this information you want from me will be absorbently expensive because of how much it means to you. It wouldn't be to anybody else.
Yeah.
And of course, there's like 10,000 words to explain what I just said in a sentence because this show is so fucking autistic with the details. But like, the long and short of it is, he's like, hey, I'm not going to spend all that money. I'll just figure it out for myself. But how much will it cost me to get a bunch of blimps? And there's a fun scene where you see all the blimps, and you see what looks like him sitting on one, and then he just suddenly gets sniped in the fucking head. And you're like, whoa! And then it cuts to the snipers realizing, oh, that was just a fake. I just thought that was a well-staged scene.
And then he goes on the news and basically goes, it took 58 minutes for people to realize I was there, and the only people who could have sniped me are police officers.
Yeah, only cop helicopters could have known about this, so they must somehow know through the police. There's a weird, entertaining, but very out of nowhere.
So, hang on. The fire-breathing bug sign is a sign from Corpse God's universe, and so this is why this is happening right now.
They basically cut to like a recap of like who Death God is and where he's from?
It's him explaining it to Shark Girl. That's what's happening.
Okay. But the way it's framed is as, I can only describe it as like a 1993 anime. Like, particularly, I can't, maybe like 89 to 96. That's the only years that anime looked exactly the way it does in this scene. But it just becomes a like aspect ratio 4:3 1990s anime for this explanation. Cute, weird. It wasn't like spectacular in a way that would make it like, oh, you should check this out. I can't believe they did this scene. It's just a interesting thing. Like, what if Dead Mount Deathplay had come out 20 years ago? Here's what it would have looked like. This scene completely saved this episode.
Yeah, so Zombie Girl basically goes up to Shark Girl and goes, "Hey, how would you feel?"
Zombie Girl goes up to Shark Girl. One's actually a zombie. The other girl's just obsessed with sharks.
I would say she identifies as a shark.
That's true. Well, she's really excited because when she learns about all the magic stuff, she's like, well, if all that magic shit's real, then shark people must be real.
Yeah, make me a shark.
Yeah, like
Turn me into a shark, please.
But so this scene, this fascinates me. So yeah, the shark girl who's Polka's, I don't know, sister, cousin, related somehow. She's in the shower. Cousin. She's brought Polka Shark into the shower because she doesn't know it's Polka. But Zombie Girl, I don't know. How did they didn't get in together, right? She just like stripped and got in the shower. She just shows up,
yeah.
So she just gets naked and she gets real close and she's like, hey, you know, how would you feel if you know I killed your fucking cousin? And she's like, she literally in all earnestness says, anybody who likes shark movies can't be a bad person. And the conversation continues, and the girl keeps saying, like, are you really, like, sure? Like, you know, I really killed him. And she's just like, you like sharks. Like, you don't understand. Like,
we didn't talk that long.
So much more than anything else. This scene is like a whole minute of naked lesbian flirting / implied. It ends on implied sex. It ends on Shark Girl like, actually, not only do I think you're cool, but you like sharks so much, we're gonna fuck right now in front of Polka. Who they come out of the bathroom and Polka's just like all red.
Yeah, they
like,
come out of the bathroom
dead.
And the incel tech man just kind of immediately goes, "You don't know who that is, do you?"
Yeah.
And then she learns, and they're both very embarrassed.
But yeah, the scene was really hot. I mean, it's just two really sexy, big-breasted women having a nice little shower together. The show's really great for all the lesbian stuff. That is a real milker you just showed me.
Moo. Oh, right. So the episode ends with blonde guy meeting Superintendent General Jirotaru Takasu, who I'm convinced is one of the fire-breathing bugs. He just has to be, just based on everything we learned. This show, man, is too hard to...
I only took 4 screen caps for this episode.
That's really funny.
Because so little happens. But this scene, I only took this one because I thought it was so funny that he says, I hope our teeth mesh well.
Well, because he spends the whole time he's on screen talking about how everyone under him is a cog and that he needs blonde guy to be a good cog. And
oh, yeah.
if you're not a good cog, I'm going to crush you.
It's just the fucking metaphors people
it's
talking
like, dude, this
show.
Isn't Toontown.
It's so...
Does that mean anything to you?
No, I have no idea.
The enemies in Toontown are all businessmen. They're called the businessmen robots called cogs.
I see. Alright, I think we only have one more of these fucking anime. It's Magical Destroyers. This episode was almost totally incomprehensible, other than that a lot of fighting happened.
Almost always is. Yeah.
So... Shobon, TV head, bad guy man.
So Shobon is actually a guy who makes games, I think. I'm pretty sure he makes games. And he spends all of his time responding to people who give negative criticism to his works.
Yes.
And a lot of the responses he has are like, wow, you're so pathetic. Wow, you live a bad life. And it keeps cutting to him typing these responses, and he's like in an apartment full of trash. In the dark, all alone. He's just
a piece of shit. He's a real Ben Saint type, you know, just a real garbage human, just somebody who doesn't deserve to live, and who nobody would ever respect, you know, like the kind of person who you see and you go, why are you alive? Like what what allows you to persist? What makes you think you get to go on living in this world? You know? Anyway. So, he was visited by the truth, the origin.
It's basically God.
But it's like the truth from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood,
which is God.
But it comes to him in the form of like I think it was Anarchy's head, right?
Kind of looked like it. Similar? Well, it's Origin's head. I mean, she looks kind of similar, but maybe she's got like a big O on her face.
Yes, he's visited by the Origin. That's how he got the powers to make all this happen. I guess it's
right before he right before he transforms in. I'm really tired.
We're almost done. We're almost done.
Right before he transforms into Shoban, which he does by plugging himself into his computer, he like is surrounded by the 6 colors of the 6 magical girls that we've seen so far, and then the magical girls start fighting each other. Green has got to be my favorite character design, maybe ever. Plague Doctor Mask, really cool green hair, only says Gobo, perfect woman. And so green and pink are fighting, and orange and blue are fighting. Pink and blue kind of win, but then green and orange like have an inflation fetish or something, and so they become like...
Is that what was going on?
No.
I don't even remember
that was a joke. They like expand, remember? They like
vaguely...
So anyway, they expand and they both turn into doors, and then pink and blue go through the door, and there's just like thousands of orange and greens, and they're killing the oranges and greens and slowly losing the memories they have with Otaku Hero, I think is what's supposed to be happening. Because they're like cutting away the film strips of having hung out with him.
Fucking you understood more of this than I did. You were like, I didn't understand.
This is a really hard one to parse.
Well, because in most of it's just action and very repetitive dialogue. Like when I was going back to catch screen caps of this, I swear to God, there are like 3 phrases that are said 3 times in this episode. Mostly about like just how it feels to live. It's all, again, lofty metaphorical stuff, and it's just characters shouting at each other while they fight. It reminded me a lot of Lyrical Nanoha, particularly the early episodes of Season 2 where they're fighting in like, cityscapes. But that show has so much more character development and so much more weight behind the battles and the dialogue that even if it's not, like, particularly well written, this show makes me appreciate that one more. Like, and there's actually some really good animation in this episode. Like there's a bunch of cool moments in the fights. Some of the animation looked like it might come from some familiar animators, like some pretty good fight people. But aside from the fact that the fighting looks good, the stuff the characters are shouting at each other during the fights, I couldn't give less of a single fuck about. Like all of Anarchy versus Purple's dialogue sucks.
Yeah.
It's obnoxious. They're just kind of screaming at each other. Anarchy still seems to be like hyper motivated by her love for Otaku Hero that we've never really explored. I think the next episode is just going to be a bunch of backstory about them with him, like expanding on from where we did.
The next episode of this show is either going to make sure for me that I like it or completely ruin the entire show for me.
I think that's likely.
And that's really unfortunate. And it's kind of what I have seen coming the entire time, because they have not chosen to tell us anything, really.
I just feel like we didn't make that much progress. Where, like, the last episode had this big revelation.
And especially now, also, that we haven't made that much progress, because it's all just this fucking dude's brainchild or whatever.
Yeah.
He knew what it was. He has this whole big fucking rant at the end of the episode where he's like, "You're all NPCs. You can't do anything. I'm the only free thinker." It's like, dude, jump off the building you're standing on.
Yeah, here's them fighting, feeling alive. What are you eating?
Yeah, and so I called that line too. But basically, Purple, or whatever, fucking Destroyer, Slayer is what her name. Slayer is like, I knew I was destined to fight in this battle, and then she realizes that she was destined to die in this battle.
She says that like 80 times.
It's like, really annoying.
This is my life. This is what I was meant to do.
This is Shoban. We learn that the little fucking thing
is evil, exactly like
it's Origin.
It would be.
It's specifically Origin. And yeah, it's like, oh wow,
It's
cool.
Cubit,
That's what we thought it was.
Specifically Cubit. This shot kind of bothers me because, like, there's a lot of strong aesthetic ideas in this show, but often not executed that well. And this shot is, I want to say, probably ripped off from a movie called X 1999, because that movie has shots that look a lot like this, but way better. Just way higher level of artistry. And, like, I can see how this little wire in the foreground, like, moving upwards was supposed to look cool, but it just doesn't. Like, I don't know. This shot was an unfortunate missed opportunity.
Yeah, I really hope the show redeems itself.
Before the end, that would be nice.
So, right. So then, oh God, I forgot how this episode ended, and now I'm getting really upset. Pink, Blue, and Anarchy get like this transformation where Pink's mask gets cuter and their outfits all get cooler. And
wait, before this, aren't they having like realization? Because I remember Blue going on this whole rant about all these realizations she's having about herself that didn't feel earned at all.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, she just starts saying like, well, this is what motivates me. This is what I like about myself, like type stuff. And it was like, what did this have to do with the situation we're in? Like, why are you having these revelations now?
But so then they all get like, oh, it's also said at one point that the drugs are their amniotic fluid.
Oh.
I don't, confusing.
But yeah, the drugs finally take their effect, I guess, and all of them have another transformation into like a
cooler version of themselves.
Yeah, like an edgier, spikier version. I mean, they look pretty cool, but like again, this is a part where I feel so disconnected because I don't understand the metaphor anymore. I'm like, I don't really know what they're trying to say. You're fighting yourself. I guess it's the fight of destiny. Just none of it felt very meaningful in this episode. And this show at its best is confusing but thematically rich. This episode felt thematically shallow and confusing. At least it had some decent action, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of mid. And that's it. We did it. We talked about all the
my God, we watched anime. And a super chat.
Australian $5 from dumb username. PSA, there is a Japanese guy who does long essays about the underwear flashes in Kiki's delivery service. You can find him at Otaku King CH.
I have not seen Kiki's delivery
long
service.
Essays about underwear flashes. I mean, I kind of really want to hear about that because a lot could be said about Ghibli and how much they like to show the underwear of the young girls that they draw and how little it gets talked about considering how weird it is. Anyway, this is it. We did it. Sign up for $5 on Patreon. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is the bonus episode.
Man, am I so happy that this episode is not going to crack 2 hours?
I've been
really waiting for us to reach the point where we don't have to be completely shit-faced and rambling the whole time.
Yeah. No, this is the shortest episode we've ever done, and you can thank being completely fucking fed up with life for that. So,
anyway, we really appreciate you. Only if you give us money.
Yes, and or if you are cool, like Ellen Horizon, who can't afford to pay us but is cool.
I'm sure Ellen has given us money before.
Maybe so. I'm just saying, if you're somebody who is cool, you're fine. But
if you like Oshinoko, get the fuck out. We don't want you anymore.
Out of the world. Just
no,
fucking
stop it. No,
put yourself in a plane and go to the moon.
A plane?
Take a plane to the moon. All right, that's it.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.
Everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Real talk. We love all of you.
And also